well, it looks like it's 8 o'clock, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that this is probably an awkward time for some of you, but hopefully it isn't too bad for many of you. And we will record this for anybody you might know that wasn't able to get on today, or if you want to go back and watch it again, I will send out the information about the recording to everybody after this session. But welcome to, this is the first time we've done a first-time attendee webinar before an annual meeting. As many of you know, we initially invited you to have lunch with us in London on the first day. We were going to do this first-time attendee orientation there, but we've identified an opportunity of a topic that we really want to engage people around over lunch, and so we're going to use the lunchtime for that. You all, of course, still get lunch, but we thought we'd move this content to a time and place where you can actually probably gather a little bit more information and feel free to ask any questions. What we do lose in doing this is your opportunity to network with other first-time attendees. You should know that there will be ribbons for your badges in London. So if you want to self-identify as a first-time attendee, you can do that and find other people in the same boat as you. And I suggest you do that because our members, the ones that have been going to annual meetings forever, are really great about coming up and chatting with the people that are identified as first-time attendees and sharing their wealth of knowledge about the association, the profession, and what you should know about an ASIS&T annual meeting. So don't hesitate to take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm just going to roll through a few slides here. Most of my slides are really just pictures because the best way to imagine an annual meeting is really through seeing what they looked like before. So here are just a few shots of prior annual meetings I drew from really the last 4 or 5 meetings. The only one in the last few years that, of course, wasn't a face-to-face meeting was the 2020 meeting, which we did fully virtually. The 21 meeting was a live hybrid meeting. That was really challenging to live stream every session as it happened from Salt Lake City. And since that, we've decided to do entirely face-to-face meetings. There's a high demand for that, and we offer an alternative meeting in the middle of the year, in the spring, for people to attend and present virtually. So you know, I'm preaching to the choir. You all are coming to London, so you know how important it is to engage in face-to-face meetings. So I'm just going to sort of try and share with you what an annual meeting is like. I, of course, am speaking from the perspective of a staff person who puts the meeting on, so it's obviously a little different through my lens, but hopefully you'll get a little bit out of this that will give you some pointers as to how to approach the meeting when you get there. We strive really hard to be a really welcoming environment. So when you first arrive, you're going to, there'll be plenty of signage telling you where to go. Depending on when you get there, the registration starts out in one place and then it moves to another place on the Friday, simply based on the availability of space to us. But from Friday on, the registration is going to be in the main foyer as you arrive. There will be signage and it will be pretty obvious where you need to go. So you'll arrive, you'll head to the registration table and you will get your credentials, and then you're on your own to figure out what you want to do. So the first big event of the main meeting is the opening plenary. I'll talk a little bit about workshops in a minute, but the main meeting will launch with this opening plenary. Here you can see the opening plenary from a few years ago. I think we were in Vancouver for this one, and it's going to look a lot like this. There actually, I think for our opening plenary, we may have round tables as well as theater seating, so that gives you an opportunity to really chit-chat with the folks around you and start your networking process, which is really the most important thing about a meeting. We have great keynote speakers this year. We actually have 2 keynotes for our opening and 1 for our closing. So I strongly recommend you make sure you're at that opening session. The keynotes are intended to be relevant both to the theme of the meeting as well as issues of currency and relevance to our profession. So there's some library content, there's some information science content, and we really strive, in addition, for a sort of a diverse and engaging perspective. So hopefully we will have achieved that. You'll let us know after the meeting whether or not we did. Great thing about the plenaries is we usually leave a lot of time towards the end for people to ask questions. So don't be shy. Jump up if you have a question that you want answered. Jump up, grab the microphone, and feel free to do that. There, depending on how fabulous the keynotes are, there's often a long line of people that want to ask questions. So get there early. We do have to cut it off at some point so that we can move on to the next session. So, so get your question in early. If you don't get your question in, the keynote speakers always stick around after, and you can go up to them and ask a question at that point. Food, there is lots of food. Used to be at ASIS annual meetings that we were very stingy on food, but we've tried really hard to do better with that. Now, I have to add the caveat that this is a meeting in a European venue. They do things a little differently than the hotels in North America, so we can't guarantee that everyone will have more food than they are able to eat, which is usually the case, but we do strive to make sure that you are adequately fed. If you are staying in the conference hotel, breakfast is included in your sleeping room rate, so you will get a nice hot breakfast every day. And then we are providing lunches all 3 days and 2 receptions. So really no shortage of opportunities to eat. You probably won't be able to make an entire meal out of the receptions, but we will make sure that you have adequate sustenance during your meeting, which has not always been the case at an ASIS annual meeting, and you'll probably hear stories about that. Exhibitors, we have, I can't remember how many, I want to say about 10 exhibitors at the meeting this year. They are typically publishers or others with an interest in library and information science who have products to sell or ideas to sell. So keep an eye out for that. You won't be able to miss it as you walk into the main lobby. The exhibitors will be around the outside of the main area. So bring a little extra room in your suitcase if you want to take a book or two back with you, because all of these publishers do tend to give out everything. They don't want to have to carry the stuff back that they brought. So keep a little room in your suitcase for a book if you want. One of the great things about the annual meeting is the opportunity to meet really interesting people and people whose books you've read, who are really luminaries in the field. I pulled out this picture because to the left is Jim Jansen. He is the editor of one of the major journals in the field. Gary Marcinini there in the middle, now the dean at University of Toronto, used to be at North Carolina. Another luminary, Tefko Sarasevic is the gentleman second from the right, and Nick Belkin, both of them at Rutgers University, just tremendous leaders in the field. So I can actually say Gary will be at this year's meeting and Nick is receiving our first fellow award. So the two of them will be at the meeting. I don't think Tefko and Jim will be there, but there are plenty of other exciting people for you to meet. And I'll probably make mention of a few of them as we go through this, but I can assure you that many of the books that you are reading and many of the resources that you are citing, the authors of those will be at this meeting. What hopefully will happen for you as a first-time attendee at an ASIS annual meeting is you are going to make lifelong friends at this first meeting. Anybody you meet that has been to many ASIS meetings will tell you that they came to their first ASIS annual meeting and they were nervous and they didn't know anybody and they didn't quite know what to do. And then they quickly fell into a group of people who they got to know, started chatting with, started developing research plans with, or made, other exciting plans to do collaborative work together. And so the ASIS annual meeting becomes a reunion spot for all those folks to come back together and see their friends and colleagues again. So it's really heartwarming to see all the fabulous relationships that are built at an ASIS annual meeting and then carry over for decades after. Awards is a very important part of our annual meeting. Our awards luncheon is on the Wednesday, and we give out, I want to say 11 or 12 big awards plus this special interest group and chapter awards. And so that is a really great opportunity to recognize the best and the brightest in our field. And I encourage you to attend that. And then as you become more engaged with ASIS, consider nominating yourself or somebody else for an award in the future, because it's a great opportunity to have your work acknowledged and disseminated throughout the profession. That gentleman on the left there is Abebe Rarisa. He is our current president of ASIS, and so you'll see a lot of him at this meeting as well. One of the great aspects of our meeting is, of course, the poster sessions. We had so many submissions for posters this year that where we usually do one poster session, we decided to do two to make sure that we had adequate opportunity to display all of the fabulous posters that we accepted for this meeting. So both Sunday and Monday night, there will be posters as part of the receptions. And during the day on Sunday, the Sunday night posters will be on display. And during the day on Monday, the Monday night posters will be on display. So you'll have the opportunity, if you want, to go walk through the poster area before the reception, review some of the posters so that you can then figure out who you want to go talk to when the reception starts, because the reception's just over an hour. So you're not going to have a lot of time to wander through and read things as well as talk to people. So I encourage you to take the time earlier in the day, if you can make it, to go down and have a look at the posters that are up for display. Paper sessions, another very important part of an annual meeting. This is the time where our members and others are able to share the work that they've done. We have both long papers and short papers. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how long each one is. I want to say the long ones are about 20 minutes and the short ones about 12. And they're listed in the program within each session that they're in. But you can, if you want, go to one paper in one session and then pick up and leave that one and go to another one in another session. We try very hard in the app to list exactly what time theoretically each session or each paper would be presented. So you have the option to move back and forth between sessions if you want to. We did also try hard to bundle together papers into a similar topic area. So ideally you'll go to a session and there will be 3 or 4 papers that are all more or less on the same general theme. But again, don't hesitate to leave one session and go to another session if there's a paper in a different room that you want to listen to. People do that all the time. No one will look askance at you if you get up and go to another room. I'll only mention this now, and I'll probably mention it again. When we booked the hotel for this meeting, we anticipated having about 350 people come to the event. So that's how much space we reserved, was enough for 350. We just crested over 500 registrations. So many, many more people coming to this meeting than we originally thought. So it will be important that you get to the sessions that you want to attend early so you can grab one of the seats, because I think we will experience a standing room only situation in some of the sessions. And we want to make sure that everybody is able to get a seat that wants a seat and go to the sessions they want to go to. So definitely be prepared for a crowd and come as early as possible to account for that. Panel sessions is the third format of session that we have. We have posters, papers, panels. The panels are really a great opportunity to get a diverse array of information and thoughts on a topic. And so we have typically 3 to 4 people in a panel, sometimes more. It can get a little unwieldy with a lot. But these are really fabulous opportunities, more for conversation than for just straight up presentation of papers. We try to avoid having papers that are presented as panels. That has happened in the past, but we try to avoid it. Steve, I see your question in the chat. Will there be seats for presenters? Yes, we will make sure that no matter what, presenters get to sit in their own session. We still want you to get there early, if for no other reason than to make sure you have slides on the laptop and ready to go. So you'll get a seat anyway. And there'll be a table in the front of every room. So the presenters will actually be able to sit at that table in the front, and you don't have to worry about fighting for a seat. But again, presenters should get to their sessions early, and I'm sure Kathy has communicated that to all of the presenters at this point. If not, let me know. Okay. So that's the content of the meeting, the papers, panels, and posters. Steve asked again, how much time between sessions? 30 minutes between each session. So really the heart of the meeting is really the social time. And so, as I said, 2 receptions, 3 meals. And I picked out this picture because I really like the way it shows some of the more senior members of the association chatting up some of the younger students and others. So you'll see on the left there is Steve Downey from the University of Illinois chatting up some members, and then towards the middle right in the green sweater, that's Michael Twidell, ironically also from the University of Illinois, chatting up some others. So you'll find there are a lot of people from the University of Illinois at this meeting. It's a very large program in the United States, and lots and lots of folks there. So that is really the annual meeting in pictures, trying to give you just a sense of the flavor of the meeting. It has over time become much more diverse, even in these pictures display. I think you'll find that we have a very rich membership and a very rich and diverse group of attendees at the meeting. And to give you an example of that, so right now we have 520 total people registered for the meeting. That includes people that are registered only for workshops, as well as people for the main part of the meeting. That, like I said, they're right around 500. Sadly, we have had to cancel. We haven't canceled. They've asked us to cancel their registration. The 9 people from Israel that were scheduled to attend and present are now unable to come, obviously. So we're sorry to lose them. But still remaining about 520 attendees, 203 first-time attendees. That is amazing. To have almost half of our attendees coming from for the very first time is fabulous. And it's the reason why we move our meeting around, and we don't just meet in North America in the same places all the time. We want to take the meeting to other countries so that other members and colleagues can engage. Just so those of you that aren't aware know, our meeting pattern is we meet 2 years in a row in North America, typically once in the United States and once in Canada. And then the 3rd year is either in Europe or in the Asia Pacific region. So 3 years ago, we met in, well, it was 4 years ago because 2020 threw us off. So 4 years ago, we met in Melbourne, Australia. This time in Europe, and in 3 years, we will meet in Asia, probably more Northern Asia than the Pacific region in 3 more years. So that's our pattern. So next year, we'll be in Calgary, Canada, and the year after that, somewhere in the United States. But anyway, back to my slides. So 203 first-time attendees, 153 students. Again, that is a fabulous representation of our students, and coming from 32 countries. So that's remarkable. As you can see on the distribution, still the majority coming from North America. Even though we're in Europe, more people are coming from North America than from Europe. More people, in fact, coming from the Asia Pacific region than from Europe. So any of you in Europe that have colleagues that haven't registered yet, please encourage them to do so. We're not too far away, in a very accessible place. So we're excited to see this broad range of people. The language of all of the sessions is English. We are exploring doing sessions in other languages going forward. And any of you that are on this meeting that would be interested in talking more about that, come find me in London, because we're looking for people who can help us lead the charge on that. So for now, though, everything in English. So I'm going to walk through the schedule. Feel free, if you have a question, post it in the chat, and we will have plenty of time at the end for questions as well. But it's easier to probably just charge on through all of this, and then we'll stop for questions towards the end. So Friday and Saturday of the meeting are our workshop days, and workshops are essentially intended to be more intensive, hands-on opportunities to discuss something. Many of the workshops are run by our special interest groups. They're called SIGs. We have 18 SIGs, and so about 2/3 of our workshops this year are put on by those SIGs. So SIG AI, SIG social media, SIG MET, and SIG STI are meeting together. MET being metrics and STI being socio-technical information. I'm forgetting a couple, I know, but you can find them all in the program. So those workshops take place Friday and Saturday, with the exception of the SIG MET STI workshop. They are all 4 hours long. MET STI is all day on Friday. Those are, if you get into London and have time, we encourage you to join a workshop. It's much easier for us if you register ahead of time, but if you need to register on site, we can do that. But those are just, if you want to add a workshop to your registration, you just go in like you'd never registered for the annual meeting at all. And as long as you pick a workshop and not the main meeting, it won't tell you you've already registered. It'll just let you register for something new. So strongly recommend that if you have extra time. I know we're in London. If you haven't been to London before, you might actually want to go out and see London. But if you don't and you want to go get more education, please do think about coming to a workshop. Also on the Saturday afternoon is the doctoral colloquium. For those of you that are students, if you're not coming to the doctoral colloquium this year, I encourage you to consider it for next year. It's a great opportunity to get a mentor who will review your research and your work and give you advice on how to go forward. It is something that requires an application. It's a selection process. But if you're selected, your registration for the annual meeting is covered. And you have a fabulous session on the Saturday afternoon, and then develop a relationship with a mentor going forward. And the last thing on Saturday is the student reception. Only students are invited to this. Well, only students and a handful of notables that we think the students might want to meet. So if you're a student, by all means, come to that. There's no ticket for it. You've received an invitation from me already. And I will send another invitation to those people who have registered in the last couple of weeks and haven't gotten one yet. But hopefully all the students will have arrived in time to attend that. And we look forward to hosting you at that. So then the meeting really starts. So all that is sort of pre-meeting stuff. And then the meeting itself launches on Sunday morning with the opening keynote session. There will be a bit of conversation before the keynote about the meeting, give you some statistics on who's here, just like I gave you a minute ago, what the acceptance rate was for sessions, things that you need to be on the lookout for, and highlights for the meeting, most of which I'm giving you now. So if you get to the keynote a little late, you're fine. But again, remember, not a lot of seats probably, so get there early enough to get a good seat. After the opening keynote, you'll be released into the meeting, and the exhibits at that point will be set up. So as I mentioned, we have about 10 exhibitors there that are eager to chat with you about their wares. We will also have a table there that will have a sign that says SIG Meet and Greet. The plan for that is that representatives of our special interest groups will be at that table to chat with folks about their own special interest group, give you the opportunity to meet some people in subject matter areas that you're interested in, and think about getting engaged with a special interest group. Special interest groups are that and a chapter are really the best way to quickly get engaged with the association, meet a lot of people, and start contributing and getting a lot out right away. So we encourage you to do that. A lot of SIG members will have ribbons on their badges, identifying them as SIG members. If you are trying to find somebody from a special interest group and you're having problems with that, come to the registration table and we can help you find somebody to talk to. We're happy to help you identify people to chat with if you're having a hard time finding them. And then finally, in the exhibit hall, there will be a table for Meet the Editors and a sign telling you what time. but the editors of JSIST, Information Matters, and ARIST will all be at the meeting and at various times during the meeting in the exhibit hall. They will be sitting at the table, so if you have questions about something you're working on, how you could get published, they are available there to chat with. Then as the day proceeds, there will be paper and panel sessions throughout the day, at least I think 1 in the morning and at least 2 in the afternoon. And then the thing that's taking the place of the first time attendee lunch will be a town hall lunch where we're going to talk about the association infrastructure in the field of information science, and going forward, what makes the most sense in terms of representing and leading the profession in terms of how many organizations we have, how many do we need, and that type of thing. So that's lunch, more papers and panels, and then we will close the day with, actually, we're not quite closing the day. We have the opening reception with posters. That, again, is your opportunity to really network and meet people and see the posters. And then following that, I forgot to put this on there, SIG-III, which is the International Information Issues Special Interest Group, is hosting a reception, a small reception following the opening reception. So if you want to get more engaged on a global level with the association, that's a great opportunity for you to go meet people who are active in that special interest group. And that's really a fabulous special interest group. It does a lot throughout the year. It's a great one to engage with. Okay. Monday dawns bright and early with business meetings for the special interest groups. So again, if you want to get involved with a special interest group, you could go to their business meeting. That's a great place to meet the leadership of the special interest group and find out more about what they plan to do in the coming year. So, so make sure you keep an eye on which ones are meeting where and when. Again, more exhibitors, more papers and panels. Then at lunch, we do the awards. And so encourage you to come to that and recognize your colleagues and get a pretty good lunch, we hope. So that is definitely an event you want to make sure is on your schedule. And then in the evening, we have the president's reception. And again, more posters. So the president's reception is going to look an awful lot like the opening reception with just different posters and hopefully different food, but plenty of more opportunities for you to network and meet folks. And then Tuesday, we start the day with the ASIS business meeting. That is the time where those of us that are in leadership in the association report out to the membership what's been accomplished in the prior year, what we are planning for the coming year. We recognize our leaders that are outgoing and coming in. The annual meeting is the time where our board turns over. So we have new board members coming on. We have board members leaving. And that we do that at annual meeting to recognize them. And then again, more papers and posters and exhibits throughout the main part of the day. And then a late lunch with our closing keynote. So again, that is going to be a fabulous session and opportunity for you to engage and ask questions and so forth. We do offer at the closing keynote as an incentive to stay to the very end of the meeting, a raffle where we'll be raffling off a discount on next year's annual meeting in Calgary. Or no, I think I'm wrong. I think it's actually $100 off your registration for this year. So you'll get $100 back. Kim, am I right on that?
Get myself off mute. Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it's $100 back on your current registration. So you don't have to commit to coming next year in order to get that. So, you know, we encourage everybody to come to that last session. It's going to be fabulous and very informative. And so hopefully you all are still in London for that. Okay, ways to learn about the meeting. The meeting app is now live. If you haven't gotten an email from us inviting you to download the app, you should have. You can actually just go to the App Store in your device and search for ASIS&T, and you should see it right away and download it. You'll want to log in. You don't have to log in, but if you don't log in, you don't get access to a lot of the features. So if you go to your profile, it'll ask you to log in and you'll give it your name and the email address you used to register for the meeting. That's very important. You've got to give it the email address you used to register, and it'll then send you back a code which you'll have to enter in, and then you'll be good to go for at least the day. Sometimes we have found it closes you out and you have to go through that process again. However, if you actively use the app all day long for all 4 days, all 3 or 4 days of the meeting, hopefully you won't have to log out and log in again. But this is going to be your source on the ground for where and when things are happening. We're not doing a printed program this year, so the app is going to be your best resource. Linked from the app is the schedule that's in ComfTool. ComfTool is the platform we use to collect proposals and papers and panels and so forth. It's also where we have the main schedule listed with the detail of every single speaker, every session description, and so forth. So you can get that information from the schedule in the app. You can also get it from ComfTool, and you can get that information from ComfTool now on your desktop if you want. Kim, would you mind pulling up the ComfTool link and putting it in the chat so everybody has handy access to that? There's also on the ASIS website a schedule at a glance. So there are many, many different places where you can find information on what's happening when. Hopefully they all say the same thing. The problem with having information in 3 or 4 different places is sometimes if one thing changes, you don't always get the changes everywhere. The app will, at the end of the day, be your very best resource for what's going on. We will also send announcements out through the app during the meeting. So if a room gets changed or something is found at, and left at the registration desk, or a session's about to start, you'll get all that information through the app. So we really encourage you to use the app as your primary source of information. But in the meantime, that ComfTool website, also very useful if you're trying to find a speaker, trying to figure out if a colleague is going to be there speaking. That's a very good resource as well. But again, download the app before you get there if you can. It just will make your life much easier to have it there and ready to go. And you'll start getting information about the meeting very soon. Some other things that didn't quite fit into other places I was talking about. Something that just occurred to me that I didn't put on here. You'll be getting an email. I think it's on this coming Monday. Kim, is it Monday they know before you go?
It is Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. On Tuesday, look in your email. You'll get an email that's titled Know Before You Go. That's going to have lots of good information about sort of when you land in London, how do you get to the meeting, and what's the weather going to be, and how does money work in the UK, and how does electricity work in the UK, and various things that we're just trying to give you information about ahead of time so that you're prepared for that. So be on the lookout for that email. Hopefully it is very helpful. Some of the things that I'm going to mention now is probably in that email, but worth knowing. So dress is business casual. That's what we call it in the United States. I'm sure it's called other things other places, but essentially it means you want to look nice, but you don't need to look overly dressy. Most people, unless they are presenting, gentlemen don't wear coats and ties. Ladies don't wear suits or dresses. A lot of ladies wear dresses, but we're not trying to look overly business focused. If you're not quite sure what it means, Google business casual and you'll find I'm sure many examples of what that looks like. But essentially it's, a nice set of slacks and a nice shirt, but no ties, no high heels, no pantyhose, that sort of thing typically. The annual meeting proceedings is the collection of the written papers, panels, and posters, the abstracts, and the full descriptions that were submitted to ASIS for evaluation. They are suitable for publishing and have been published in the proceedings. The proceedings are linked in the app. So if you go into the app, you can download that. It's a gigantic, right now, it's a gigantic PDF form. They are also being published on the Wiley website in digital format. So once that link is available, it will go into the app as well, but Wiley hasn't quite gotten it to us yet. But as soon as that's available, you can get that. So as you're looking at papers and panels and posters that you're interested in, you can download the full paper, panel, or poster description from the app, either as a PDF or eventually digitally, as soon as that's ready. We do evaluate the meeting at the end every year, and so we'll send that evaluation out on or about the Tuesday of, at the end of the meeting. We know it's tedious to complete these things, but it's really helpful for us. So we would ask you to take the, not more than 10 minutes it will take to fill out that evaluation. We really do use the results of those to make plans for the coming year. So if we've done something that just didn't work for you, we want to know about it. And if we've done something that you thought was fabulous, we want to know about that too. So if you can take the time to do that, we'd really appreciate it. We know many of you need proof of attendance, some sort of certificate that shows that you attended the meeting. So it's a little bit tricky for us to generate those on site just because we have a lot of other things happening. But if you need to leave with one, go to the ASIS registration table or the ASIS staff office. That'll be evident where that is. And we can generate a proof of attendance certificate for you. Otherwise, we will send you a digital one after the annual meeting. If you let us know that you need that, we're happy to do it. There will be tickets for some events. When you arrive, you'll be given a name badge. If you are attending for only one day of the meeting, your name badge will say Monday only, Tuesday only, and you can't pick up your badge until that morning. But if you're there for the full meeting, then you'll have a name badge that will get you access to every session, every meal event, everything that doesn't require a ticket, and your badge will get you into that. The only thing it won't get you into is a workshop. If you're attending a workshop, you need to have the ticket for that workshop, and that will be included with your registration materials when you check in. If you have bought a guest ticket, your guest will not have a name badge, but they will need their guest ticket. That will be included with your registration materials when you check in. If you're bringing a guest and you didn't buy a guest ticket, that's okay. You can buy one when you get there. Kim, who's got her camera on now, wave to the audience. Kim is going to be manning the registration table, so she can get you a guest ticket. They're $80, and that will get your guest into all of the social events. So essentially the 2 receptions on Sunday night and Monday night. It does not include lunches. So you'll need a ticket for that. And then if you have a dietary requirement related to your meals, if you are vegetarian, vegan, require a kosher meal, lactose free or gluten free, we can accommodate all of those requests. We asked you when you registered for that. So there will be tickets in your packet indicating that you require that dietary accommodation. There's only one sit-down meal where you would prop that little ticket up in front of your plate so that the servers know to give you that. Everything else is going to be buffet, so things that are gluten-free or vegetarian or vegan will indicate that on the buffet. But you'll have those tickets in case you need to show it to anybody that you've pre-requested one of those meals. Just a little anecdote. One year, is at my first annual meeting with ASIS, the vegetarian meals were so tasty looking that people kept saying they wanted a vegetarian meal, even though they hadn't pre-requested a vegetarian meal. And so we ran out of vegetarian meals before all the vegetarians had gotten their meals. So that's why we now do tickets. That you have to have a ticket in order to demonstrate that you pre-requested. Now, if you get on site and you realize you don't have this and you want it, tell Kim and she'll hook you up. We just need to let the hotel know in advance how many people to anticipate are going to be requesting special meals. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is we have a hashtag. So if it's still called tweeting, right? Even though it's now X and not Twitter. If you're tweeting about the meeting, hashtag ASIS23, we encourage you to do that. There are a lot of people that can't come that would like to know what's going on. So by all means, tweet away. There's also an ASIS Facebook page, a LinkedIn, and so forth. So feel free to use those social media platforms to talk about the meeting. We are happy for you to do so. And as I run out of voice, that takes me to the end of my slides. So we can now open up for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. If you have a question, if you could raise your digital hand, we can call on you in order. And if not, we've recorded this, so we will save it and send out the link, and you can go back and refer to this if needed. But does anybody have a question? Don't be shy. Kim, I guess I covered it all.
I think you did. As a first timer myself, I feel like I'm prepared.
Did I leave anything off that you wish you knew?
No, and if I do, I think it's oh, we got a couple coming in here with, yeah, but no,
so Ernest asking, are all the sessions offline? Well, there were online sessions. We had one online workshop that took place already. That was a couple of weekends ago. There will be a online session on Monday of this week that is the iFederation panel debate. That is free to all ASIS, ALICE, and iSchool members. So by all means, come to that. If you'd like, look in the weekly roundup tomorrow if you don't already have details on that. We do ask you register just so we know how many people to anticipate, but it is free. Those are the only two things that are online. Everything else is face-to-face only. Our reason for that is that it is just way too unpredictable to try and manage people presenting virtually, even with recorded sessions. It requires a great deal more staff time than we have staff, and it becomes a very inequitable situation if we let some people do it and not others. And so we just draw a hard line and say, nope, this is a face-to-face only meeting. If you want to present or attend virtually, then we offer you other ways of doing that other times in the year. Jay asked when are the days breakfast and lunch will be covered. So there's a lunch all 3 days. You get lunch all 3 days. We just made that decision. I mean, as a first-time attendee, you would have gotten lunch on Sunday anyway, but a lot of people were going to have to go out and find their own lunch in the hour and a half that we have between sessions on Sunday, but we've changed that. Everybody gets lunch on Sunday. The only day that there is breakfast provided by us is on at the business meeting on Tuesday. Otherwise, you're on your own for breakfast because there's breakfast being served in the hotel. If you're not staying in the conference hotel, you will want to stop at a Pret or somewhere along the way to grab something. But there's a restaurant in the hotel, so if you're not staying at the hotel but want to get breakfast there, I think you can purchase breakfast there as well. But in terms of breakfasts that are being provided by ASIS, it is on just the Tuesday morning. That's right, Kim, correct? I mean, there's some breakfast being provided for special meetings, but
right.
I think the SIG business
yeah.
meetings might have a continental breakfast at them. I can't remember.
I don't know that. That is true.
Yeah, but in any event, plan on there being breakfast provided by ASIS only on the Tuesday. Otherwise, lunch every day. Brief administration question: is it possible to stay on after the session? Of course, yes. You stay on, no problem. All right, Kim has provided the registration link for the webinar. It's going to be a really interesting webinar. It's going to be a debate on artificial intelligence. So, not so much, I think, a pro and con of should it exist, and we're past that conversation altogether, but, sort of ethically and in terms of the various aspects of AI, what should people be thinking about, both pro and con? So I think that's going to be a really exciting session. Hopefully some people you've heard from before, probably on this topic, and others who you have not. But again, that is free. It is at 10 a.m. on Monday, right? Which is not a great time, we recognize, for everybody. We will again record that, and that will be made available freely to all ASIS members. Yep, thank you again. Free to all. And even if for whatever reason you don't fall into any of those categories, which as most of you know, if you register for the full annual meeting and you weren't already an ASIS member, you are now, because the full meeting registration as a non-member includes membership in ASIS. If you register for just one day, you wouldn't have gotten the membership, but we'll shoot the link out to all registered attendees as well. So everybody gets to go to that session. All right. If you are presenting at the meeting, you should have by now been asked to provide some additional information to the app. So if you're not sure about that, please email Kathy Nash, who I'm sure you have her email address at this point. It's cnash@asist.org. Kathy is the meeting person, and she's the person to ask all questions about presenting. Although if you're on right now and you have a question, we can try and help. Yeah, if nobody else has any more questions, that's really all I wanted share today. Hopefully this has been helpful in terms of getting you in the right mindset for the meeting. There are, 20-ish of you, 22 folks, that counts me and Kathy, so 20-ish of you on here now out of the 203 first-time attendees. So clearly a lot of folks out there that don't know the answers to all these questions now. So you're going to be our envoys. So as you see other people with first-time attendee ribbons at the meeting, I'm suddenly wondering if we have enough first-time attendee ribbons. I better check on that. Do introduce yourself to others and share any information that you have that they might want. This meeting is about networking. This is why people go to face-to-face annual meetings. You could get content anywhere online nowadays, but you can't make the connections and meet the people without showing up. So we really hope you'll take advantage of that, and anything that we as staff can do to facilitate your networking, introduce you to people that would be helpful to you, we are really happy to do that. We may not be able to do it in the moment you ask. There's a lot of moving parts to this meeting, and a lot of us will be very busy most of the time. But if you go up to Kim at the registration desk, I'm pretty sure she'll have a notepad there writing down things that people want to know and connections that we need to make. And so we will make sure that we take care of anything you need as the time goes along. Our objective is to make you feel welcome, make you feel included and engaged, that you have access to everything that you want. And so if you're ever feeling that that's not happening, come find us and we will find a way to fix that. Allison, as long as you are registered for a workshop and that if you have a confirmation, then it's in our database. So you'll get the ticket when you check in. I have your registration materials right here next to me, and so I will double check and make sure it's there, but you shouldn't need anything else. You'll get there, you'll have your ticket to the workshop, and you'll be on your way and ready to go. If you don't, we'll make it right and make sure we fix it. Emma, we're looking forward to seeing you too. Thanks, Steve. You're welcome.
I can't wait to meet you all.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're done here unless anyone wants to hang around for additional questions towards the end.